Okay, thank you.
Yep, we can see it. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Hi everyone. So we are doing a session on moving banks in AX 2012. We are trying to, because in an organization when there is always a need, if there is a shareholder change or anything changes, there is always a change of bank. And with the bank, there changes a lot of things in the organization. So we are trying to make here a smooth and easy transition when a bank is moved in an organization. So my name is Shankar Iyer. I am an AX developer for like past 6 years now. I have been working as a developer, and I do have a very good knowledge functionally and also technically. Primarily, I have worked as an AX developer in many of my roles, and obviously with development, you also have to administer and take care of the compile builds and all the environments apart from that. So I have worked more as a developer, but as you know, administration also goes hand in hand with the development work. So I work as a developer and administrator in IMT partnership. We are in Canada, and you can go to my blog to iertutor at blogspot.com. So today's agenda, we will be covering several topics such as bank account and check management. We will also go through the electronic fund transfer, positive pay. It's a very relatively broad subject, all all these three, but I have tried to jolt down both technically and functionally as quickly as I can. So let's just jump on to the first one, that is bank account and check management. So basically, every organization has different bank accounts, and they do their payment either by check or by wire transfer. So the bank accounts are basically, first you have to create a bank account, then set up a method of payment for checks, then you will set up the check layout, how, because every bank account and every bank has a different layout which they have prescribed, and then you can make a payment by that check. And we can also set up bank accounts for vendors, customers, and so on and so forth. So moving on, how to create a bank account. So why bank account and bank group is needed to submit payments to vendors or receive payments from customers. So bank account information, uh, basically, as per the Canadian banking system, we need to set up a bank group and then a bank account. So if you can see, in AX, let me see whether my machine is up and running. If it is up and running, then I can. So for today's demo, I have used the demo environment provided by AX. Generally, it is, because it's on my own machine, it might be slow, or it might, so it will take some time. So we will just go on, and so basically, you go to cash and bank management setup, and then you set up the bank group. Generally, you can, as you can see, in the demo environment, they have two groups here: Bank Euro and Bank USA. So in the routing number field, you can put your unique registration number, which is provided by the bank. Generally, it's a 9-character string we use for the bank account number, so that you can provide uh, in the bank group and the routing number. Um, So the next one is setting up a bank account. So in order to set up a bank account, you can either go to cash and bank management, common bank account, or you can go to, if you want to set it up for a customer, you can go to accounts receivable, common, customer, all customer, set up bank account. Similarly for vendors, you can do it via accounts payable, common, vendor, all vendors. So in the general tab, you can see the routing number type field. That is very important. Generally, we keep it to none. In the routing number field, which is a very important, this is a 9-character string which we use to set up, and the bank account number, it can be up to 12 digits. Then we will set up the method of payment for checks. So either you can go to accounts payable, payment, method of payment, or if it is a sales order or for customers, you can go to accounts receivable, set up payment, method of payment. You'll create a line for check. Then here you will have the invoice. In the period field, you can have different types such as invoice, date, week, total. If you're doing for one payment transfer for each invoice, then you can set that combo box field to invoice. If you're doing as per the due date, then you can do it via the date one. Similarly for week, and if you're doing once in while or in one payment, you can do it, you can set it to total. In the description field, you can enter a short description for your method of payment. In our case, I have done it for check payment, or in the demo environment. If you have a grace period, you can put that. I haven't, or in the demo environment they haven't. And in the payment status field, select the payment status that must be fulfilled. To this, we don't have anything, so in the demo environment they've just taken none. And in the click file format, you will just select the export format as check. So going on to the next slide. So I think so the demo environment is up now. Let's see. Take some more time. So meanwhile, we can go from the check layout. So in the check layout, for every bank account, you have to select that particular bank account and go to the setup tab. And in the setup tab, you can provide all this information. So as in the general tab, you can see first you have to provide the check number method, whether it's a fixed one or whether it's a free format. In our case, we have taken it as free one. Then you have to select the format, whether it's a US check format or a Canadian format. You will get all those options. I can show it to you if my demo environment is up and running. Looks like it's running, so that's good. Let's give it some more time. So in the check layout, you have to select, as I told you, you can select these things, and then you can verify also by print testing your check. So in our case, we have selected the USG account. So it is showing you the USG account, and it is showing you the date and the recipient and the address, which you can always modify as and when needed. So how to modify it? And now we are going to, so this is basically the work of a developer. So you as a bank representative, you can provide the format uh, to the developer, and the developer, it's the developer's responsibility to make changes to the SSRS report as an how you need it. So this is the area. Basically, this would be check_us. That would be a Visual Studio object, and that would be a report, SSRS report. Accordingly, you have to change that. You can edit it. You can change everything, whatever we have shown in the previous line. Everything can be changed as per the bank's requirement. So this is where you will change. That is the check layout. If you want any kind of changes in your check, for example, in the Miker line, you want any changes, or with respect to bank name, sometimes uh, some of the banks, they need this bank name in this area. So all these things can be changed accordingly to the respective SSRS report. Then which are the check layout classes? So sometimes the check method, how it is determined, we have to change that. So basically, every SSRS report has three important um, classes associated with it. First is the contract, then the controller, and then the DP class. So uh, so basically, as per the requirements of the bank, you can go and you can change these particular contract. If it's a controller based change, you can go to the controller class and make the respective changes. Now I will show you how to make a payment by check. So basically, I think so my environment should be up and running now. So we can, yes, it's up and running. So that's a very good news. So let's go and make a payment to any of the accounts. So let's go to accounts payable. We have to go to payment journal. I have already made some payments. I can make one more payment. Let's select when pay. We can give any description if you want. So like check payment, lines, then you can select any account. Let's select 103. If you want to give any description, you can always give any description. So check payment, proposing it's for $1234. You can always change the currency. If it's USD, you can change to USD. If it's and then you can select all the necessary information which we did. Just make sure that we are selecting the check payment because we are making a check payment this time. And once that is done, we can go to functions, generate payments. Here we have to pay it by check, so I'm going to pay it by check. My account is USMF OPER. I will select that. Then I will click OK. Then it will ask me for like a dialog. I'm just printing it to screen for this point of time. You can always change it to the printers if you want to print it on the local printer. So as I want to show it to the viewers, I am going to do it on the screen. So I'm just pressing OK for that. and then click OK. So it's saying that the period is not open, so you can always go to general ledger and open up a period. Now I'm going to select a different date. We take an older date so that at least that period is open. I'm not sure when in the demo environment, so just take the one. Let's see whether it takes it this time around. I guess it will. So yeah, it printed the check. Now let's see how the check looks like. The report is running, so it will take some time to load and then run it. And go to the slides. Maybe I have it on the slides. So going forward, so making the check payments. So here you can make the check payment. So that's what we did, and this is how so I made a check payment to this account 1001 and USMF OPER. So here you can see this is that account which I have made, and I have made a payment of $10. I did it for March 4th, 2019. Let's see what my demo environment is doing. It's still loading, so let it load. So that was all about checks. So obviously you can make all those changes to the classes which I showed you if you want to make those changes. Obviously there would be changes because this is a demo environment. Microsoft obviously uses a very standard format, but every bank and every bank account would have the necessary changes which you would have to inculcate in your check in your check. So for that you might have to make changes to the necessary SSRS report or the DP class or the controller class. Accordingly you might have to make, and then you might have to validate with your respective bank. How does that work? Let's see where my demo environment is now. It's still loading, so let me proceed. So here you can see I made a payment of $12.34. That's, you can see, $12.34. Operating account was USD. Check number also got printed, 391. We paid it to this guy, and our payment was made by this guy, and so that's how. So we paid from the Contoso Entertainment account to the Addy supply chain company. So let's move on. Let's move on to EFT. So the next slide would be EFT. What is an EFT? EFT is nothing but electronic fund transfer. So generally we make payments. Generally we use lot of payment methods. The one which we saw was check. The other payment methods often used by banks or by the vendors or the associations or the organizations are EFTs, electronic fund transfer. Today everyone wants e-transfer, like instant transfer. So electronic payments would be a payment which is done electronically, such as EFT, wire transfer. Let's see what are the setup and configuration required for EFT. So First of all, you might have to again configure a bank account for electronic payments. So you will go to cash and bank management, bank accounts, and then you have to make sure that company statement name and company ID is there. So let's go to our dev environment. Let's go to cash and bank management. We have different bank accounts here. So bank accounts, and now we have to make sure that we have company statement name and company ID. So for this particular account, we don't have that. So let's see whether we have it for other accounts. So this is a USMF payroll account, and this has it. This has the company statement name, and this also has the company ID. These are the two required parameters for the EFT. So let's go back to the slides. Next, create method of payment for electronic payments. As we created a method of payment for checks, similarly we might have to create a method of payment for EFT. So we will select this electronic option. So in the electronic option, we have to select the period. Again, we have to give the description. Payment type will be electronic payment, and here in the export format you will select the NACHA US format for the US checks. Generally these export formats you might have to change, because every EFT payment, again similar to checks, will have several customizations associated with it, so you might have to change it to that. Now we have considered here a standard format like the NACHA US format, and then which account you will be doing it from, and you have to set up a payment specification. So let's go to the demo environment. So accounts payable, method of payment, electronic payment specification. Here you can select the whatever format you want. I am selecting the standard NACHA CCD format. Obviously when you will create, I have provided the details in the upcoming slides, that when you have a custom format, you can always create that format first, and then you can select from here. So going back to the slides, after you have created the method of payment for electronic, you might have to create a bank account and set up the vendor's bank account. So here, if you're going to send any information to the bank, AX need to know which bank accounts it's going to send to. So you have to go to vendors, all vendors, switch to the details view, create a new bank account by clicking the bank account, the new field here, and then you have to enter the bank account number and the name, and then you also have to provide the routing number and the bank account number again. So that you have to do and specify electronic payment in the method of payment. So if you can see on the general tab here, you have to provide the method of payment as electronic, and that is the one which you have created in the before slide. Then you will create it will be the similar kind of setup. You will go to vendor, you go to a payment journal. The only difference would be in the method of payment and the payment specification. So in the payment specification, you will do electronic payment specification. So the next, then instead of check, you will select the export format. You will go to functions, generate generate payment, and then instead of payment method of payment check, you will select an export format. Here you will select the export format which you had created, that was NACHA US for the bank account, US payroll, USMF payroll. So here you have to make sure that you have selected the right payment method. In the before slide, you have to make sure that the method of payment is right and the payment specification is correct, and you also have to make sure the currency is correct. Here in this slide I have taken as 100 Canadian, which has changed to 97.85 USD. So, and then once you have generated that electronic payment file, this will be the payment control you will get, and this is saying that the only transaction, there was just one transaction here which was of 97.85 USD because we selected 100 CAD and that notepad file got generated. So in this notepad file, there is a header, there is a footer, there are, in the middle lines are the payment description. So let's go back to our demo environment and let's try to make a payment. So you can go to all vendors, you can select any vendor. Let me select, so this would be euro. You have to make sure that the currency is USD, and then you can go to bank accounts. If it doesn't has any bank account, then you have to provide a bank account. I will just provide a bank account which can be till 12 digits. So let's do it this one. I generally keep the same name as the vendor name so that it's good. Bank of USA, routing number, can be 9 digits. These things will be provided to you by the bank, so you can use, I'm using just make sure that the bank account is similar what you have inserted, and then you can always change the setup if you need to change anything. Like here you can specify what currency you need it to be. I will say it US. You can put all the addresses if you want to, name of person and contacts. So this was for US-108. So let's go back to the area page, go to payment journal, create one more EFT payment. So we will do the similar kind EFT so that it's different from the other ones. Go to the lines, select that guy, it was 108, EFT payment. Let's do it for 15. Here the method of payment would be electronic, and the payment specification, you have to make sure that is correct. Then once we have made that sure, then go to generate payment. Here we don't have to, we have to select the export format. So we will select the NACHA US because that's where I have set up the US operations, US payroll. You have to change that because that's where we had the company name and the company ID. Then in the dialog box, you can provide where you want to create the EFT file. So EFT underscore US-108, so that we know that that's for that EFT payment. You can get the control report and payment advice if you need. If you don't need, then that's fine. and then click OK, click OK, and then click OK. Now it's saying the bank account has not been set up for US vendor. So let me change the vendor. I have already set up the bank account for 1003. So I'll just make a payment to that guy. Generate payment. Everything looks good. Okay. 1003. So number of transactions 14.68 USD, that is correct, and that's the control list. So all these, and you can make sure that you have that file on your desktop. I had saved it, so we can open it via Notepad. Some of the bank's portal will require it in a particular format, so you have to provide that particular format which is required by the bank's EFT portal. You can upload this file onto the EFT portal, and that way bank can validate whether this EFT payment is a valid payment or not. So here you can see that we made a payment to this guy. So this is basically, these will be payment line, header, footer, and actual payment information. So let's try to explore more about that. So once the generate payment has been done, what are the things which we have to take care with respect to the classes for EFT? As I told you, every bank account and every bank would have a specific requirement. So obviously there would be customizations involved. So where you have to do the customization, that is very important. So there are two classes here which are very base classes, which are very important in terms of EFT. First is the vend out payment, and then the second one is the vend out payment record. Let me show you some of the demo classes in the demo environment. So this is the which particular classes I'm talking about. You can go to your AOT. In the vend out payment, which actually contains the header details and the trailer details for the basically file payment information. So if you see vend out payment, so there are different kinds of formats available here. So some of the basically you can customize one of these, or you can just copy one of these methods and create your own. So here we are using the Nacha one, but for today's exercise. But obviously you have to change two of the methods, that is vend out payment and vend out payment record. So for the formatting of payment lines, you need all these information. So every bank will provide you the report layout which is required, and you have to generate your payment file according to that. So the very important class is the vend out payment record class. You can always change the output method, which is basically consisting of two methods, that is init records and fill records. So let's go to that particular class in the background and see what changes we might have to do. So vend out payment record. See, there are so many formats available for you. but 90% of the chances you might have to create your own, which is not a hassle, but yeah, it will require some of the customization. So today I'm using Nacha CCD. So let's look at that class. So as I told you, go to the output method. Here there are, in the first and the seventh and the eighth lines, if you can see, and have to go to the definition, and there you might have to change lot of things. You might have to change in the field record, and in the, you might have to change your, because every bank will give you a certain kind of specification how they require it, and you might have to program your code accordingly. Okay, so till now we covered EFT and we covered check. Now let's go to the next part, that is positive pay. What is positive pay? Positive pay is basically, you send this file to the bank in which there are check numbers, dates, and amount of all checks issued are mentioned. And now what will happen when someone presents the check which you have already issued? They will go to their bank, they will present that check, and now the bank's teller will verify the information on the check with the file which you have sent. If there is any discrepancies, then that bank teller will notify the company. So this positive pay file helps the bank's teller to verify the information. Basically the check is not fraudulent, and it will help the bank teller to identify and verify whether this check is not fraudulent, and any discrepancies are there. So how to do that? First of all, you have to create a secure folder for positive file. The XSLT format. So let me go to the demo environment and show you what I'm trying to talk about. So in our demo environment, we have created, actually Microsoft has created, if you go to demo files, and then there is a folder called as positive pay. In that there is two folders, output and XSLT. XSLT will be different again for every bank and every bank account. So that will be provided to you by the bank. So you might have to either you can take this format template from TechNet or any demo environment. It's available there on the net, so that you can make use of it, and then you can start again. There would be changes to the positive pay file which you might have to customize on your own. So let's proceed and try to see what things we might have to configure and set up with respect to positive pay. So as I told you, we might have to create two folders, out and XSLT, and then copy the XSLT format, which is basically XLS style sheet. Then we have to make sure that we give the right access to this folder, basically to the AOS service account, and then we have to create the bank XSLT format in that XSLT folder. Then we have to set up the outbound puts for positive pay files. How to do that? I can show that to you on the demo environment. So we have to go to oops. So we have to go to system admin module. Scroll down to the setup tab, and here you can see output ports for Positive Pay. There you can provide any payment format. You can give your name and the output port which you have. I will show you how to configure the output port, and then the path of the navigation path of where you have stored the XSLT format and the output where you want. And then you have to click on create ports. I have already activated the ports here, so I'm not going to do it again. I can show you the outbound ports which you are concerned about. The outbound port, here you have to create a new one, and then you have to provide the adapter and the encoding format. This bank will tell you that which kinds of encoding format they require. If they have not provided you, then this is the standard followed by Microsoft, so we will be using this one. And then once your port has been activated, you should get a info log saying that once you click on that create port, it will take some time to activate the port, and once the port has been activated, it will tell you that the port USMF OPR has been deployed successfully. Then as I showed you how to create the outbound port for Positive Pay file, we have to do that. Then we have to set up the number sequence for Positive Pay file. So for the number sequence, you have to go to Cash and Bank Management, Cash and Bank Management parameters, number sequence, and here there is a positive number which you have already created. So Microsoft has given in the demo machine, they have already created the number sequence code, so you might have to create that in your environment. Going ahead, and this unique always Positive Pay file must have a unique number. You have to remember that. Then we have to set up the batch jobs for generating the Positive Pay file, and we have to provide these two classes: AIF Gateway Send Service, AIF Outbound Processing Service. So let's go and see in our demo environment. We have to go to System Admin module for batch jobs. Go to the batch jobs. There is a Positive Pay file waiting here, so I have already created that. And the two files, so go to View Task, and you have to make sure that two class names are already present. Gateway Send Service, Gateway Processing Service. Going back, once we have done that, then we have to assign a Positive Pay format to the bank account. So same setup, everything would be same. Just go to the bank account and just make sure that in the Positive Pay format, you have selected the respective Positive Pay. Oops. I just hopefully it won't take much of my time till it, I think it's up and running. Oh, that's good. So yeah, just go to the Cash and Bank Management, bank accounts, and just make sure that you have set up the Positive Pay in the general tab. So in the general tab, just make sure that This start date is very important. The start date is important because you're just letting the system know that when you want to start this positive pay format. Generally, it is the first positive pay file you have included. So without the date, it's hard, but you have to specify when you want to create that. Then running the positive pay file. So obviously, positive pay file, the main ingredient would be the payment, creating a payment journal, but it should be a check payment, because obviously positive pay file will validate with the check which you have given to the vendor. So first you have to create a check payment, and then go and run the positive pay file. So let's try to do that. So I have already paid one person with the check. So let's go to the area page. So in every bank account, there is, here you can see checks. So here you can make sure that there would be checks. So let's go to area page, positive pay file. Here you can provide the positive pay format. You can select the company which you need to. You can also select the bank account and the cutoff date. So it will tell what all checks were generated, and it will generate a positive pay file. The file has been generated. So now you can either run the batch job and make sure that the excess LT is regenerated again, or you can go to the positive pay folder. So here is that. So here after this we have to, so today's date, so it was created. This is the file which is created, but again this is not a formatted one. So bank will need a good formatted. For that you have to again write code. Basically you might have to create a file. Basically you will create a class where you will massage this code, and then create again a bank will provide you a specification saying that we need header and trailer record, and that details you will massage this file and then create that info. So going back, so today we did learn about EFTs, we learned about check, and we also validated those checks using positive pay file. And this file, once as per the bank requirement, you will send it to bank, so that bank has the information, relevant information about what was the vendor ID, what was the vendor name, how much payment was done, and everything. Bank will get that information, and then bank, it will help the bank to cross validate the information on the check and with this file. And if there are any discrepancies, then bank will surely let you know. So this will help the bank and the company not to have any fraudulent cases. That's it for today. If you have any questions, you can surely ask me.
And yes, we do actually have two questions in the question box. The first one is, if using EFT and setting up vendor bank accounts, looks like you also need to set up a bank group for each bank used by the vendors.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, so you do need to set up a bank group. And the second question is, for Positive Pay, provided you are reconciling bank statements in AX with your bank and marking those checks that have been paid, will Positive Pay always only send out unpaid checks?
Yeah, you have to make sure that. So in the customization, either you can restrict your cutoff date to that point, or you can create one more field in your reconciliation process, where, or in that generate, here in the generate payment, I can show you. So where you create the Positive Pay file, here you can make those customizations. I will just show you. So in here, you can make a customization saying that, you know, obviously this will do it for you. If you want extra validation there, you can always do that in this area. Yeah, that
Okay.
was.
Okay, those were the only two questions.
Yeah, if
I'm
anything else.
not seeing anything else. So I think that's it then. Thank you very much, Shankar.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Yep.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.